Welcome back. How you doing, Rich Shea?
Hey Randy, good to see you. How are you?
I'm all right. I can't say I'm surprised that Luis and Efro are tied. These guys, I looked it up. They've played. There's been 4 seasons of Vintage Super League. They're 2-2 in their regular season matchups. They played in the semifinals of season one, where Luis won, but then lost to Stephen Endian in the finals. They played in the semifinals of season two, where Eric won and then won the final. Season three was the weirdo double elim, so there was no semifinal.
Right.
Now, third full round robin season, third time these guys have met in the semifinals. If you count all the matches from their playoff matches, you count the 2 matches they just played, they're sitting at 6-6 lifetime. 6 match wins for Eric, 6 match wins for Luis. They've played in the semifinals of every single season.
That's consistency, and tonight they're going to break that, aren't they?
Yeah, one of them will be up a match. One of them will be playing in the finals for the second time.
That's great. I'm looking forward to round three. So far,
Yeah.
whichever player's been on the more aggressive deck has been the victor.
Yeah, it's
So,
been the pseudo combo decks both times. Well, it sounds like they're ready for match 3. So
all right.
let's find out what the third deck brought to the table is for each player. Here we go. The reveal says Pyro Gush against Thieves Bond. As those are a pair of mouthfuls.
So we just take cards from the deck and name them after that. It's clear that LSV also has a bond, so he could have been on Pyro Bond or Gush Bond, and Efro could have been on Thieves Moth Will, if you're just going to combine two of the names, or Thieves Ordain. You know, there are a lot of directions this could have taken. But it looks like they both decided that they were going to do something involving Gush and Fast Bond, and why wouldn't you?
Yeah, pretty much. Neither one of these decks seems to be set up for the quick combo kills the way their last two were. I mean, we saw the Storm deck win for Eric very quickly. We saw the Vault Key deck take all the turns for Luis. Turn one in the first game and relatively shortly after turn one in the second game.
Yeah, not interested in letting Efro have a single turn. And the thing that I find really interesting about Gush as a concept is that you can use it fairly, as Delver likes to do. You can also use it completely unfairly when you combine it with Fast Bond and just start drawing absurd numbers of cards. It's I can't think of another card that's not on the restricted list that lets you play both a grindy control game and also a fast combo game, executing both strategies well, revolving around the same card.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, Fast Bond really does just totally change the tenor of Gush games.
Yeah.
That Jace Fringe Prodigy off the top, I don't know if Luis scried that to the top or if he scried to the bottom and drew it blind after his mulligan, but any Mox and any land makes Jace into a turn one play in Vintage. So I feel like Vryn's Prodigy may just be the best form of Jace in Vintage nowadays.
Oh, that's a pretty strong statement, Randy.
Oh, I'm aware. Mind Sculptor is quite good, but he also costs 4.
He does cost 4, that's true. If this were JTMS, he'd be sitting in LSV's hand. So, what do you Demonic Tutor here for Efro?
That's a good question.
Oh.
I assume the thief in question from his hand is a Notion Thief. But
probably. It could be Thieves' Auction as a way to deal with things.
It's not Thieves' Auction. My second choice was Dak Faden, but I haven't seen any red mana yet. I'm pretty sure it's Notion Thief. Wow, Black Lotus into Yogwill is what he did?
I mean, if this resolves, he's probably got it. But now I think if you're LSV, do you just line name Yawgmoth's here? I think that would be the
well, you don't know that he DT'd for Black Lotus. We know he demonic tutored for Black Lotus.
True.
Luis does not have that information.
That's
also,
true.
By the way,
Relation, not causality.
Eric is set up Mana Drain.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, the Black Lotus allows him to Mana Drain. The Black Lotus also allows him to dig through time if he wants to. Like, he could sack it, dig. I don't know that that's how he wants to play this hand, but it is an option.
So LSV could also get Fast Bond here.
Yeah, he just drew his own Demonic Tutor, didn't he?
He did.
So it's a green and a black.
Which would let him Fast Bond.
Yeah, it absolutely lets him DT for fastball, play fastball.
Wow.
God,
This is a really tough thing for.
how tempting of a mana drain target is Gush?
I don't
You're
know if
holding
I.
Dig Through Time and Yawgmoth's Will. 5 glorious
Yeah.
colorless mana next turn.
I don't know if I have the self restraint not to throw
Oh,
it.
same, same. I do not think I could resist mana drain on Gush right here. It's not going to work because Luis has the DT to follow up, but wow. Oh, wow. What discipline. I don't know that I
Certainly
could.
admirable from you,
Oh,
Fro. That's
wow.
true. Notion Thief would be proud. Lightning Bolt.
Yeah,
Wow.
Jace gets to flip here. Yeah, Bolt heads to the yard. This is game 1 of match 3.
So it actually looks like LSV can get Fast Bond and then cast Dig Through Time.
When does Eric mana drain? That's the question. The spells keep getting cheaper and cheaper, but I mean, mana drain Demonic Tutor. You see the greed mana floating, so
You
if
have to
Luis
assume.
is holding Fast Bond and you mana drain DT, you're screwed.
So there it is.
Okay, he
There it
is going to
is.
mana drain the DT. He
All right.
figures the
Playing.
DT's.
Ifro's playing one of those press your luck games, but I guess he had pressed it enough.
Well, I think he figures the DT is for Fast Bond, and this way he's up a mana next turn.
I think that makes sense.
I might have waited for the Fast Bond.
Oh, I mean, I just would have gotten a gush, so I don't.
Yeah, we probably both would have gotten Gush, and then we'd have gotten wrecked. We would have gotten wrecked by DT for Fast Bond with Jace and Dig Through Time, and shenanigans would have ensued. Eric navigated that turn quite well.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. He has.
And now, yeah, he resolved Yawgmoth's Will. So he sunk the floating colorless into Yawgwell.
Oh.
He figures Luis would have fought back and defended his DT if he could. So it's a value will. I don't expect him to actually win the game here, but some serious value.
He has Demonic Tutor. He's got Sol Ring, so he can cast an Eldrazi now. That's good.
He gets 2 preordains and a DT. Like that is 2 preordains, a DT, and a Sol Ring. That's not bad value.
If he finds Tinker, he can straight up win off that. If he finds a Fast Bond or a Gush, he can assemble the rest of the contraption. There are a lot of ways where this can just prove to be game ending, and there's a Gush.
Yep.
So I don't know.
Fast Bond.
I think you Gush, and
sure.
I think you Gush here, and you can pivot from there. But
there is Dag Faden. One thief has been spotted.
There's a thief. Right. Thieves Auction we're still waiting for, but I assume that's what the Lotus is in the deck to cast. Randy? You there? Oh. All right, then. Looks like Randy got to be the thing in the ice today, so I'll do the commentary here. So Ifro is grabbing value from Yawgmoth's Will, and he's set up Gush Bond, which is the extremely powerful combination that let him return lands, replay them, and now right now, Ifro has 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It looks like Ifro's one short of casting Dig Through Time here. But he does get to play Mr. Faden, steal half of LSV's entire board with this, and still have Force of Will for whatever LSV tries to do on his turn. So this puts Ifro in a pretty commanding position here, and next turn, he'll be well set up to cast Dig Through Time. So I'm assuming that based on the name Thieves Bond, that Ifro is running Dak Faden and Notion Thief, two great tastes that go good together. It can also be Creature Bond, which Ifro is running, which has nice art from Anson Maddox and is completely unplayable. So it looks like LSV didn't do anything. Presumably he's going to be setting something up with Vampiric Tutor. But now Ifro is going to get to Cantrip. Oh, we found Time Walk. This is almost certainly over. So Time Walk's going to let Ifro just dig a lot deeper into his deck. There you see the Gush. Ifro is going to have to probably discard a land and a Force of Will here. He'll be able to Gush, and then go digging through time, and then walking through time. Basically, Ifro's having a time sandwich. And LSV has two cards in play. So it looks like Ifro's being pretty circumspect about casting Dig Through Time. If you think about the threats that are facing him, though, because LSV is on a Gush deck, he knows that LSV could take the game out of absolutely nowhere. And what that means is that he can't play too aggressively. He has to be respectful of what LSV is capable of. You also see the tiniest Jace, and that's a clock. That absolutely represents a clock. But there, now. The greatest thief in the multiverse has just been joined by a reasonable thief in the multiverse. That is to say, Notion Thief. And Notion Thief is going to form a really powerful combo here. So Dak Faden has an ability which is +2. Target player, not just you, but whomever you choose to target, draws 2 cards and then discards 2 cards. And this is salient because when Notion Thief is in play and Dak Faden targets LSV, that's going to have Ifro draw 2 cards, and then LSV discards 2 cards. So this is going to go extremely badly for... Wow, alright. So I guess LSV doesn't even realize how badly it was going to go for him. Let's take a look at the sideboarding. It looks like... Well, it looks like both players have Sulfur Elementals. That's good. They're both afraid of Mentor. LSV has both the Alexandrian and the Sylvan Library in his board. It's really hard to fight these grindy combo mirrors because you kind of want your anti-combo cards so you don't lose on turn 1, but those can also make it harder not to lose on turn 43. It's really hard to fight these grindy combo mirrors because so you don't lose on turn 1.
I'm back, Rich. How are things?
All right. Hey, Randy, welcome back. You missed a pretty sweet match. There were absolutely thieves involved. The Planeswalker kind and the 3/1 kind.
Only 2, though? No auction?
I was really hoping for an auction. I think I'm just going to assume that we'll see that in game 2.
Well, you can see the whole deck right there. They're only the 2 thieves.
My eyes aren't too good. I could be missing it. I mean, it's hard to spot a card that costs like 7 colorless and 4 red mana. So, looks
Eric
like
can win this game, right?
Eric managed to get there. LSV's deck just stopped, and that Yawgmoth's Will, for value, put Ifro too far ahead.
Yep. Yeah, that value Yawg Will is when my computer decided it really needed to update some things. Sorry about that.
Oh, I understand. It's important to keep your system updated. As a computer security person, I'll tell you that.
It's important to never ever shut it down. That way you never have to wait. No,
I
that's
don't
not
know.
how it works. All right. Game
I don't know
two,
if that's a viable option.
Eric Froelich up a game. This is kind of the
This is the worst possible hand.
controlliest of the matchups. Oh, he's got the blight steal. He's got no lands.
If LSV gestures masked Ifra, this is the hand he'd get. He'd give
Ha.
him the mental misstep, just hoping that he might keep this. And then the old no island 2 gush hand. That's a powerful hand.
It does have a Force of Will. It does have a Sapphire. Like,
It
you get a
does.
Scry. I'm
It
not
even has a mana
convinced.
crypt, so Ifro can just make it end quickly for himself.
Well, look, you scry into Tinker. No problem. Easy
Okay,
game.
that's fair.
Yeah, I think Eric's going to keep that. I think I would keep that rather than go to 5 as well.
I would go to 5, but I well could be wrong. It's certainly a hand that gets a lot better with the new rule.
Oh, the Scry, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. Whereas LSV has a very solid hand here. He's got Pyroblast and not 1 but 2 mental missteps, and everyone can have a Dak Fade. Thanks to the rules, in fact, both players can have Dak Fade. All right.
There's the Volcanic, so Pyroblast is on. Eric's got, both of his primary colors. Well, both players have a Pyroblast at the ready.
Absolutely. Yep. All that blasting is ready. And this is where you see Mental Misstep just being an absolute monster of a card.
Yeah, it's true. Used to be you felt good about a 1-mana counterspell in these matchups. Now it's a 0-mana counterspell.
Yeah.
Eric's actually 1 blue source from hard casting Gush.
Yeah. Kids today don't realize back in our day we had to pay 2 mana for our counterspells.
And we liked it. I did anyway.
Oh, I mean, I liked it too. Mana Drain's pretty fun. And, there he is.
Yeah, I think you pyro this.
Oh, absolutely. You do not want your mana base stolen. I mean, it's already flimsy enough without Dak Faden coming along and taking away your ability to cast spells for the rest of the game.
Oh, right. Yeah, you're right. Getting those Moxes stolen would be a catastrophe. My only question was Pyroblast versus Force of Will. So missteps trade, but Luis has the other misstep. So at the end of the day, Eric is going to have to use a Force of Will.
He is.
Oh, good grief. Their hands are going to completely implode here, aren't they? Eric's going to force, Luis is going to force back, and Eric is going to force.
So
Eric's going to be down.
This is fantastic.
Goodbye, our hands.
So at the end of the day, the greatest thief in the multiverse doesn't arrive. He's going to go on adventures somewhere else.
So 3 missteps. What was it? 2 Pyroblasts, 3 missteps, 2 Force of Wills?
Wow. So now Ifro is 1 Underground Sea away from arriving, but it looks like
it gets Pyroblasted.
It does. It does. Oh, there's a Brainstorm. That's a great one. And wow,
that's the Underground Sea. Yeah, Eric is going to get to go for Notion Thief here, and Luis is just going to have everything.
I'm sure that Ifro is very excited to hear about what's going to get to happen.
I would be. I would absolutely be excited here.
And unfortunately, Chandra's biggest fan is just going to make a elemental friend to go along with this. I mean, there's an extra Mox that'll let LSV play around Mana Leak with his Pyroblast.
It's important to play around Mana Leak in this format, huh?
Absolutely, absolutely. I don't know. We first have another Void.
So you just run this out if you're Eric, right? You don't wait for the surprise. No, he's going to let him draw. Man, if Eric can come up with an answer to Pyroblast, whoo, or bait.
Ooh. Wow. And speaking of bait, it's time to get on a boat.
Eric is going to be fishing off the side of that boat full of treasure. Wow, more patience. This is okay.
Ifro's a patient wizard.
He's gonna use the Notion Thief as bait to resolve the treasure cruise, I guess.
I think so. Yeah. Still playing around Spell Spike? Force Spike. So I think Ifro played the mana crypt one turn earlier than was entirely necessary.
Well, it depends. If Luis had played a card draw spell, he wanted to respond with Notion Thief.
He couldn't have, though. He didn't have a blue and a black open, did he?
Yeah, he did.
Oh.
He just chose not to play it. So Treasure Cruise resolved.
Huh.
Wow. Oh, did he have the Ruby? Was it Ruby Underground Mana Crypt?
I don't think he had the mana open, no.
I think you're right. Okay. Plays a Vault and a Walk.
And Time Walk. You know that you can combine these two cards together and just have a come into play untapped Time Vault?
You could. Call that card Voltaic Key. It is the key to Eric's victory here. Should he find one? Oh. He does not have long. He gets hit for 3. He might have 2 turns, but not if he cracks that fetch land.
It's possible that Ifro takes all the turns and still loses here.
Oh yeah, the mana crypt flip, sure. Meanwhile, by the way, Luis still doesn't have black mana for his Yawgmoth's Will. If Luis had found a black mana or a fetch land at any point this game, he would have gotten to win via the value will that Eric used to win game 1.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Flip. Lost the flip.
And,
and top deck the Misty. So all game.
Ugh! Wow, that was intense.
Yeah, it was a close game.
Yeah, I mean, if even at that last draw, if Ifro had drawn Tinker there, that would have been that.
Yeah, tinker away the mana crypt to get the key. Yeah. All right, on to game 3.
And it looks like there's a Null Rod in LSV's sideboard. That's interesting.
Well, it looks like there's one in his deck now. 2 of them, actually.
Is that card that's like a Nature's Claim, but it can't hit Lodestone Golem? I guess that gets a lot better in the Gentleman's format, doesn't it?
Natural Slate or whatever.
Yeah. Like Nature's Claim --.
Funny. All right, 1 match apiece, 1 game apiece here in match number 3. Somebody's going to move to match point.
Well, LSV has a very solid hand, and once again, Ifro's hands are not as exciting as LSV's, but this could unfold pretty nicely if Ifro finds the right cards.
Those cards are mana in that hand. Oof.
LSV has a
Library of Alexandria and on the draw. That's a big game.
For more than that. Well, all right. Ifro drew a mana. It's probably not everything you hoped and dreamt for, but it's a mana. That'll do.
You know, wait.
But
he can actually answer Library of Alexandria with Notion Thief, in theory.
He could. And
it's a pretty funny way to turn off a Notion Thief. I don't think we're
going to prepare for Notion Thief in case Ifro draws a Black Lotus.
Right.
He has to play the Mox here because otherwise he'll have to discard it anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if Eric has a Strip Mine in his deck, but he basically needs a Strip Mine ASAP to have any chance in this game.
He needs a Black Lotus to have any chance in this game. I mean, he's so far behind here.
I would take the Strip Mine first. It's not like Black Lotus.
Black Lotus also answers library, right?
It sort of. It still taps for mana, and now all you have is a dorky 3/1.
But instead, Ifro will just draw Gush, the most insulting card possible when you're stuck at 1 island. Well, here's Dax Faden and also Ancestral.
Yeah. Eric has to force because even stealing that off-color Mox is kind of a beating.
Yep. 3 mana Annex is a powerful thing, but that still leaves LSV able to continue going to the library.
Yeah.
And all right, so Ifro drew a non-island mana source, but at least it can produce black. Doc has Dark Fate. Could cast Demonic Tutor. But I guess he chooses not to.
Must not have a strip mine in his deck.
Hmm. That's interesting.
Yeah, I think his hope at this point is that Luis just can't beat a Notion Thief.
I mean,
if this comes down to value versus value, Eric is doomed.
Oh yeah, no. I think Ifro has just given up the value game here. He's not even going to try to buy the generic brand cereal. You know, a card would have been really good if Ifro had in his deck is Cavernous Souls.
Ah, sure. Yeah, I've seen Cavern and Notion Thief. I've had that. Yeah. I've had that played against me. The worst is I cast Brainstorm only to then have my opponent play Notion Thief off a Cavern. It's
wow,
pretty painful. They draw 3. You still have to put 2 back.
I've had multiple.
It's not a good thing.
I've had multiple people play Notion Thieves at inopportune times against me, and it's not a particularly pleasant experience. So there's the Tinker that Ifro probably would have loved to have drawn last game to win it, and instead he drew it this game where he can cast it. Might actually resolve. And LSV is in the awkward position where he can't cast Ancestral because he'll have to discard on account of having too many cards in hand.
Yeah, he's going to go for it upkeep. Yeah, I think he knows, because Eric played the Demonic Tutor last turn, he kind of knows Eric is baiting, slogging through whatever permission he can, trying to set up. I mean, Luis has kind of sniffed this out as probably an important turn. Luis can actually only counter once. He can still only counter once with that hand. He can force once, and then he's down to missteps. That's right.
He can Tinker.
So is this Tinker going to resolve? We're going to have Blightsteel in play?
I think so, unless LSV is lucky and draws something off Brainstorm, but it's not like that's ever happened before.
So he's going to force a will. He's going to pitch.
I'm sure that LSV will Brainstorm right into Dak Faden, so I'm not concerned here.
Dak Faden to steal the Blightsteel? Yeah, he pitches a misstep. Eric hits the force back.
No, I think he pitches the Notion Thief. He's so far from casting that Notion Thief now.
Luis pitched a misstep.
Oh.
Eric pitches Notion Thief, yes.
Yeah.
And wow, Eric gets to misstep the Brainstorm, although Luis is going to misstep back.
Well, this is just all good for Chandra's biggest fan.
Sure, I mean the 1/1s, but I mean, Blightsteel does trample.
I know, but when LSV draws opposition, it's all over.
I don't think he's going to find an opposition, even now that he's defended his Brainstorm with that misstep.
But he can Demonic Tutor for a Dak Faden.
Oh, jeez. So this Tinker is going to resolve. Eric is going to get to put Blightsteel Colossus into play, despite Luis being on the library for 6 turns.
But Dak Faden's going to steal that.
Yeah, you make a good point. Demonic Tutor for Dak
Ifro
is kind of insane here.
Yeah.
Don't
Ifro probably can't
the library first. Still in the library despite that fight. Somehow he's still in the library. He's not going to tap the library for a card. Actually needs the mana, which he does for the deck.
And I'm sure that Ifro's heart just sank seeing this. And it looks like he's going to. He's going. All right, I guess he only plays 1, so instead of Dak Faden, he'll play his entire graveyard.
Don't treasure cruise all those delicious cards for Yawgmoth's Will.
Wow.
Never back. He's actually
could also call LSV's deck Thieves Bond because he has Dak Faden and Fast Bond.
Yeah, this is pretty close to a mirror, isn't it?
And since really we've seen Pyroblasting Gush out of Ifro, his deck also could have been Pyro Gush.
All right, here's the Yawgmoth's Will, which, Eric is going to concede. Luis may be able to actually win the game there with some sort of storm kill, but just playing Dak Faden and stealing Blightsteel Colossus was going to be good enough. So
that was a pretty spectacular match.
It was.
Got to see blue decks doing awesome things.
Yeah.
And
it's
matches like that make Vintage so fun.
Luis Scott Vargas leads 2 matches to 1. It's best 3 out of 5 matches. We've now seen all 6 decks. Both players brought 3 decks. We mentioned this earlier. They made a gentleman's agreement with each other that neither player would bring a deck with Mishra's Workshop or Bazaar Baghdad. So there are no Dredge decks in the mix. There are no Shops decks in the mix. What we've got are...
No Dragon decks, no 2-card Monty.
3 blue-ish decks. I mean, Eric has a Storm. Luis has, various flavors of blue decks. I think Luis probably has at least 6 repeals across his decks. Now, though, they can choose which one they want to play. They've each seen what the other brought to the table. They do not have deck lists. The deck lists are not public at this point. I mean, they'll be posted tomorrow, but each player, based on what they've seen so far, is going to have to decide what they want to bring to match 4. We're going to have match 4, you guys, right after this break. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back.